go.
Check.
Check.
Welcome back to the Second and Short podcast where the entire playbook is open. I'm Josiah.
I'm Eli.
I'm Cooper.
And I'm Hayden.
And for those of you who like to listen to audio only, the link for the Spotify will be in the description. So we're going to do something a little bit different today, and we're actually going to start with the trivia.
You're not going to give Eli a shout out? Eli disappeared for
just
6
completely-
months and
We're
just...
supposed to just completely ignore
Just
the
roll through.
elephant in the room
Yeah.
and just roll with it. No. So obviously, guest appearance today by Eli, former friend of the show.
Cousin of the show.
That's right, cousin of the show. Took a little bit of a leave of absence to coach some youngins on the ways of America's pastime, and really just
Keyword past.
yes,
Yes, past.
and really, make a difference in the lives of the youth of this nation. And so we just want to thank you for your service.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So how was your time away?
It's good. It's nice, nice break. Now I'm ready to get back at it.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah. Well, we're happy to have you back. Your analytical mind will definitely be something that we have missed and we'll definitely use. So, yeah.
Sweet.
All right. So we do want to start with something a little bit different today. Usually we save the trivia until the very end, but we're actually going to start with it this week. For those of you who listened to the last podcast, we kind of teased it a little bit at the end of the last show, but I was unable to come up with where I had saved it on my phone, basically. So we do want to dive right into that, and I do have it up already prepared. Don't worry, guys. I did my homework this week. So here's the trivia. Okay. Since 2021, there are only 4 players that have 195 plus solo tackles, 20 plus tackles for loss, 10 plus QB hits, and 10 plus sacks. Who are those 4 players?
What was the date again?
Since 2021. Since the beginning of the 2021 season, 195 solo tackles, 20 tackles for loss, 10 QB hits, 10 sacks.
Myles Garrett.
Bobby Wagner.
Yes. Hall of Famer. For sure. Probably first ballot.
You're talking about Fred Warner.
Fred Warner is not on there.
Okay, I did.
No,
heard
Bobby
Bobby
Wagner.
Wagner.
I'm talking
Okay,
about Bobby
yeah,
Wagner. Yeah.
TJ Watt.
Not TJ Watt.
Are we looking at any defensive backs here?
No. They are all one position. And
So
that should
they're
give it
all
away. They're middle
off-ball
linebackers.
linebackers.
They're all middle linebackers.
Roquan Smith.
I was surprised by some of these too.
How many people were
There's
on
only
this?
4. There's only 4, and one of them is Bobby Wagner. So there's only 3 that you haven't got.
All right, so looking at the other... All right, since it is Josie asking the question, do we have to go to his man crush and Patrick Queen?
Is that a guess?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay,
Patrick
I was
Queen is
gonna
on the
say.
list. That's part of the
That's
reason I
probably
asked
why
the question.
Josie chose the
That's part
trivia
of
question.
Well, he was the one on there.
Know
that,
your audience, yeah.
He is the one on there that I was probably most surprised by because everybody talks about he wasn't that great before Roquan got there. Roquan's been in the league longer than Patrick Queen has,
Correct.
and doesn't have the same statistical numbers. So, but yeah, so you have Bobby Wagner, you have Patrick Queen. There's 2 others. I'll give you a hint. One of them is on a team that he's on a new team this year.
Devin White.
Devin White. Yep. Philadelphia Eagles, and before that, obviously, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. One other one.
So we're looking at his former Bucks teammate, Levante David.
No, that's a good guess, but no. Probably one of the more underrated players at this position of the last 7-ish years. Might have started with the Jets, if I remember
Demario
correctly.
Davis.
Demario Davis. Good pull.
Wow.
Yep. So the 4 of them on there: Bobby Wagner, Patrick Queen, Devin White, Demario Davis.
That is a good one.
Yeah, it's a good list too. I mean,
Who-
you look at those guys.
What was the inspiration behind that? Who originally posted it?
Yeah,
Based
so
on-
there's a guy on Twitter, on X, whatever you want to call it. His name is Cody Manning. His ad is Cody Talks NFL. So check him
Shout
out.
out,
if
yeah.
you're into, friend of the show.
Yeah.
Soon to be.
Never
Yeah.
talked to him before. I believe, if I remember correctly, do you remember that tweet where Marlon Humphrey was saying that the grass isn't always greener, and then Patrick Kuhn is out watering his grass?
Yeah.
I think this was a reply to
Okay.
that tweet, and that's where I found it because I was scrolling through the reply tweets, and this was in there. And I'm fairly certain that's where I found it because Patrick Queen's obviously in there, so that's where I pulled it. But yeah, really interesting. I mean, a lot of times stats can kind of make things say what you want them to say.
Yeah.
But at the same time, those are great numbers from 3 guys that are looked at as the top of their game, and then one guy that's is he a little overrated because of Roquan Smith being there. Like, we'll see what happens this year. But me, for one, as a Steelers fan, I'm super excited for Patrick Queen this year.
As
Already
am I.
bought a jersey.
I was gonna say I'm wearing the brand new McAfee jersey. Do we have the Patrick Queen 6 jersey yet?
It's not here yet, dude.
No?
I'm biting my nails. until it comes. So
The next episode after it comes, you have to.
I will wear
Bring
100%.
it, yes.
I'll wear for every episode until he plays.
Okay. But we're holding you to that.
Yeah. So
He
moving.
tears his
yeah.
ACL
Yeah,
and
no,
braces the
yeah,
whole
don't
entire.
Don't say that. He lowers his head on a tackle.
Oh
Dude.
god.
Come on. Too far.
That was way too far. Anyway, all right.
You're
Then he cheats on his wife that
Oh,
stood by him.
All
Be
right.
writing books in no time.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, moving on from that super weird negative.
Cooper, don't act like that
route
was
with
too
the
far. You are the
Broncos.
king of going too far on the podcast.
Moving on.
I was gonna say Cooper hasn't really said anything so far this episode.
He's a new man. He went to
Yeah.
church this weekend.
Let's go. What a blessing.
It's kind of a out of the blue
Mm.
type of thing. I woke
Yeah,
up
man.
Sunday morning. I was like,
That's dope. That's awesome. Because you got your own car now too. Well, brand new car.
I don't think
Not
that
your
was
own car.
necessarily the number one
yeah.
motivation behind it, but
All right, next
No
next
comment.
topic.
All right. So anyway, yeah. Next topic. So that's kind of a good transition for new players playing with new teams. Obviously, we talked about Devin White with the Eagles. Talked about Patrick Queen with the Steelers. We want to do something a little bit different. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm super excited for the start of training camp. I understand that it's just training camp. It's preseason, basically. You see some pads, but it's just a good signal that the season's right around the corner. So I'm super excited for it. My question for you guys is, what aspect of preseason? So you could say preseason football. You could say seeing matchups, seeing padded football, whatever it is. What's the one thing that you guys are most excited for coming up here in the next
Scrimmage
couple weeks?
fights.
Yeah, dude. Heck
When
yeah.
teams scrimmage each other and then just gets chippy, and then you see that later on in week 7 when those teams play each other again, and it just becomes a huge story.
Heck yeah, that's a good one.
I have 2 for this one.
Yeah.
My first one is going to be just preseason games, especially this year. Seeing Justin Fields, seeing all our rookies, seeing Roman Wilson, seeing him go out, hopefully balling out. And number 2, oh boy. So, Hayden, go ahead. Let me
Yeah,
think of
let's
my
say
second
one
one
back.
again.
no, I actually have a couple too, and I'll build off of Cooper's first one. But seeing rookies, and not necessarily the Steelers, but specifically rookie quarterbacks. Eli's obviously kind of the college consultant of the show, but even for me who has more just average, adequate knowledge of the college game, look no further than the Steelers roster, John Reese Plumlee. I'm not sure how many reps he's going to get. We
Is
kind
he
of
going to play quarterback?
quarterback with the rumor of a transition to wide receiver in the future. But I would say that he starts off at quarterback. It's just kind of fun to see. John Reese Plumlee was awesome to watch at UCF and before that Ole Miss. Malik Cunningham last year for the Patriots. He's obviously kind of building off of Eli's point, making the transition to wide receiver. But I just love, the Patriots waived him, and then the Ravens claimed him. But I just like seeing the college players. And then something that I really hit on also, this is around the time where we're going to start to see veteran free agents sign, whether it's guys like Justin Simmons, Ryan Tannehill. And there's always a couple of guys who retire right after the first week of training camp just because they're like, all right, could I do this? Yes, but the money's good. It's just not where the love isn't there anymore. There's no reason to put your body through that.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing who gets signed. Does Jason Peters come back for another year? And then what guys come back for a week of the 2024 season before they end up hanging it up?
I'll throw in another. I like watching Steelers fans think they're going to win the Super Bowl because their quarterback has an amazing preseason and is going to be the savior.
That was one time.
Big fluke.
Yeah.
Big fluke. I'll go to my second one before I can forget it. But Hard Knocks. I mean, what a great show.
Yeah.
This year,
It's a good start.
Have you guys watched the off-season Hard Knocks yet?
I just read and
Uh-huh.
watched the Saquon stuff mainly.
I watched the first episode last week. It wasn't anything special, but usually it gets better as training camp and all that starts. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. I mean, honestly, my first one is kind of along the same lines as the first two that you guys had. Like, the only thing really that I love about preseason is getting to watch the rookies out there. Like, getting to watch some of these young guys get out there and, like, you get to see some of the chemistry that they've started to build with the guys that they have. So, like, I mean, I'm going to sound like I'm beating a dead horse at this point with how much I've said this. Like, I'm excited to see Bryce Young with JT Sanders. Like, I've been saying this over and over again. Like, I'm a huge JT Sanders guy. I see Hayden laughing because it's comical.
Homie thought he was
going
to sneak into the first round and then ended up going and
I thought
pick
he could've
101.
I thought he could have gone 32 to the Chiefs, but they traded up for the wide receiver that they
Xavier
wanted.
Worthy.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, I'm super excited to see some of these, like Hayden mentioned, young quarterbacks throw to their guys. Starting to see some of these, like, young running backs, because, like, running backs are starting earlier and earlier in their career to get, I mean, they want to maximize the years that they have.
This is Sean Tucker's year.
Yeah, could be. I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, heck, he's only got DeAndre Swift in front of him. So, he's still with the Bears, right? Oh, that's Rashawn Johnson.
Rashad White.
I was thinking, yeah. But, lost my train of thought.
Sorry, I threw you off.
No, you're good. Yes. One guy I'm high on and watching from a running back position, kid who's with the Cardinals now from
Trey Benson out of Florida State.
Yes, I think that it's going to be interesting to see him and James Conner and, like, how many of James Conner's reps is he going to end up stealing. I'm excited to hopefully see some Justin Fields early, maybe some reps with some of the ones. That's a training camp and a preseason type thing.
I think for sure we'll get some in the preseason.
Yeah, no,
At least
for sure.
towards the end.
Yeah.
Same with Wilson. I think he'll get some reps. In the
Yeah,
preseason
no, absolutely. The thing I'm not looking forward to, I hate preseason and training camp injuries. They just always seem to happen at some point, and it's like, you know, not even from a selfish fantasy football perspective, just seeing these guys who are so hyped for this season, getting ready to go, so much expectation, and you just see them dejected, and it's just like, you know, no fun. But
It's like Jalen Ramsey last year, right?
You always
He was-
get that like 11 a.m. update. It's like somebody
Yeah.
carted off, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, is it going to be bad or not? And then it's like just keeps escalating, and you
The
just keep getting those updates.
yeah. The person that sticks out in my mind is Dalvin Cook his first 2 years.
See, Jordy Nelson against the Steelers is the
I
one
was
that comes out to me.
at that game.
Yeah.
I saw it happen.
There you go.
That was my
Oh,
first Steelers game, actually.
What's that guy's name? Is it Tariq Cohen?
Tariq Cohen.
Yeah.
Was
The
it
running
an
back?
injury?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, from the Bears.
Yeah,
he backed up Jordan
back in the
Howard
league
and
at the moment.
that's right.
With
Where-
the Jets.
Is he tiny?
Jets.
Yeah.
He's like 5'6".
Yeah.
I
Darren
think he's
Sproles
small.
type.
It's fun to watch.
But he had a really solid, interesting first couple of years in the league.
Mm. Kind of going back to the Justin Fields, Russell Wilson conversation, I feel like more and more each year, and I don't know if it's just because I'm hopefully becoming a wiser football fan, but I feel like quarterback competitions are just less and less.
Yeah.
I feel like there's not really any true quarterback competitions. Because if we're honestly going off of a pure QB competition, 2 years ago, during Kenny Pickett's rookie season, Mason Rudolph was the best quarterback by a mile. Rudolph never even got a sniff at the job, and then Pickett was better than Trubisky pretty much from the get-go. We talked about last year, Kyle Trask and Baker Mayfield. Everyone knew that was Baker Mayfield's job, and I'm a Kyle Trask guy. The Seahawks with a few years ago, Geno Smith and Drew Lock. I just feel like quarterback competitions are becoming less and less a thing because there's truth in the saying, if you have two quarterbacks, you have none.
Yeah.
And I'm looking around this year, the Steelers obviously jump out as a possible one, but kind of the way Mike Tomlin and company does business, that's probably Russell's job, at least for week one.
Yeah.
And then I'm having a hard time finding any other true competitions. There's some stuff.
Carson Wentz
Listen.
and Patrick Mahomes.
Carson Wentz 2017 could compete with Patrick Mahomes.
Mm.
But like there's rookies and stuff, but even those ones are kind of like, all right, even if they go the veteran route, like how long is it gonna take before a Bo Nix comes in? The only other one that stands out, maybe, and this one's another one that's probably not a competition necessarily, but it's the Giants and Drew Lock and Daniel Jones.
Yep.
I think multiple of us have said on the show that Drew Lock's gonna take over at some point this year, but I don't think that that's an active quarterback competition. I think that's just more when the Giants season flounders like we expect it will.
They finally give up on him.
Yeah,
When they have the number one overall pick and take Quinn Ewers. Yeah.
like I'm just doing a double check. The Seahawks, Sam Palangino, that's another possibility. Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell might be the closest thing to a real competition, which
Who
is
do you guys think is the pole position there?
Minshew.
Yeah, I thought
Minshew has the guaranteed money.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would say him.
Mm-hmm.
They new offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
But that's it, really. Everything else is just rookies where it's like, okay, even if you do go Sam Darnold, Jarrett Stidham, Bo Nix and JJ McCarthy are going to be playing sooner rather than later.
Does Mariota have any shot of
No.
starting?
No.
Just
No,
right to
not
the
after the
Rams.
not after the quarterback documentary thing on Netflix. I don't think Mariota's ever going to start for real again. Like,
The way Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams are viewed, which in Chicago, the second QB right now is Taysom Bagent, but they're day one starters. I don't even know if they're going to like screw around with that. Before training camp rolls around, they might already be announced as QB1s.
yeah, for sure. You mentioned that this has gone back a while. It's like I even remember the Bears bringing in, was it Mike Glennon, and then drafting Trubisky at 2. And like I remember there being like Mike Glennon's like, well, I had no idea they were doing this. Like I mean, and I don't remember did he start right away? Did Mike Glennon start or did Mitch Trubisky like right away?
I want to say
Trubisky started sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Glennon might have played the first game or two.
Yeah.
And I think that's similar to what happened with Justin Fields, kind of sticking on the Bears trend.
Yeah.
Andy Dalton was brought in on the 1 year, $10 million deal. Matt Nagy was very adamant. Hey, I was in Kansas City when we sat Mahomes for Alex Smith. That worked out great. That's what we're going to do. Andy Dalton was getting booed by the Bears fans in the preseason. Justin Fields was having meaningless touchdowns in the preseason, kind of building off of the hype that we were talking about.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Justin Fields is starting pretty close to day one. So,
yeah, for sure. Okay, no, that was good. I like that. And like I said, I'm super excited for the start of the season. And, I mean, it's right around the corner. It's almost mid-July at this point, and, like,
You can taste it.
September's right around the corner. It's
Yeah.
going to be here before we know. August is going to fly by like it always does. It's going to be hot, but it's going to fly by, and we're going to be in football season very quickly.
Cooper,
So,
what does it taste like?
Like sweetness, baby.
like sweetness,
Like sweetness.
like Walter Payton.
Trying to see when Trubisky started.
They call him sweetness. Okay,
I got
figured
that
you
part.
did.
Yeah.
All right, so Eli's going to check on when Trubisky started officially, and we're going to roll on a little bit here. You guys want to do what's that? Omaha.
Okay.
We're going to bring back a little bit of a audible segment here. Here's a question for you guys.
We gotta bring back the whole. You gotta bring back the energy of the Omaha.
Omaha! Sorry, should I hide my face off screen? Question for you guys, non-football related. Who is your favorite MCU character and why?
Ant-Man.
Okay, why?
So versatile.
You're talking about Aunt May from Tobey Maguire or
Yeah.
Andrew Garfield,
Oh,
right,
gosh.
Eli?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever see My Cousin Vinny?
Yeah, dude, that was on the other day too.
Mhm.
Her and Joe Pesci. Yeah,
Mhm.
she is very good in that
Mhm.
movie.
Yeah.
And
What's her name?
what's his name? Karate Kid. Oh my gosh.
Ralph Macchio.
Yeah, Ralph Macchio.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very good movie.
Sorry, the real Karate Kid is William Zabka. So,
Yeah.
Billy Zabka. You guys haven't seen How I Met Your Mother, have you? Okay, never mind.
Oh yeah. It's the bag. Yeah. Barney's
It's the sweep the leg,
guy.
put him in a body bag. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. I showed my age there, I think, a bit. So
No, no,
Isn't he
he's
Johnny?
He is, yeah.
Yeah.
The bad Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
The bad guy. So, but
What
that's,
did you think of Omaha for the Omaha? What did you think of How I Met Your Mother's ending?
I mean, they could have completely cut out the last season, and it would have been a great ending. So.
It wasn't really How I Met Your Mother. It's, hey kids,
Yeah.
I want permission to go bang your Aunt Robin.
Yeah,
But
basically. Honestly, I take that back. They could have cut out the last episode, and it would have been a great ending. I love the show. It's one of my favorite shows. I hate that last episode. So, as most people do. So,
Oh, what's that show you told me to watch? The Bear.
The Bear.
The Bear.
that's Eli's
So good.
favorite show
It's
right
so
now.
good. It's so good. Have you watched the new season?
Yeah.
I've only seen like 3 episodes. So don't.
Okay.
All right, we're getting off tangent.
Yeah.
Favorite
End of the
MCU character.
audible within the audible. MCU character. So you're sticking with Aunt May?
No.
No?
I'll
Okay.
come back to me.
Is it
I'll
too
pass
basic
the
to say Iron Man?
No.
Like I just
You're
one
the
of
first
the
one to go.
Yeah.
So.
one of the better character developments I feel like
Yeah.
in modern cinema.
Yeah.
So
One of the better
Douchebag to
actors, too.
douchebag, but
redeeming
but
douchebag.
yeah, saved everybody.
Like Iron Man does have a heart. I forget the exact saying that
It's,
Pepper says to him.
proof that Iron Man has, or proof that Tony Stark has a heart.
Honorable mention the ScarJo.
Why? Cooper, you got one?
Same reason
Black
for
Widow
anime.
count?
That's what I just
That's
said.
Scar-
Scarlett Johansson. But you can go with that.
Yeah.
Well, Black Widow, yeah.
Why?
I thought her moves were really good. She's a great fighter. She complements Iron Man extremely well.
I mean, from Iron Man 2, they had a little. No, it was her and Happy had a little wrestling match in the.
Yeah, but
boxing
she
ring.
does flirt with Tony.
Oh, for
no
sure.
one. Yeah.
She
It's
flirts,
She
like-
flirts with a
she
lot
flirts
of
with
people.
Cap in
Yeah.
Hulk
yeah. Oh gosh.
and Hawkeye. And
Don't let her
Hawkeye.
around Hulk. I
Hulk
have no
smash.
chance.
So it's getting real low, big guy. All right, did you think of an answer yet?
I don't know if I really like.
Come on.
I like them all.
All right, he can just go with Aunt May then.
Nah,
I
I'm
mean,
like-
you can stick with him if that's your answer.
No, I like Hulk. Hulk, and then what they did with him was funny. Spider-Man, pretty fun.
You liked the ending with Hulk?
I thought it was a
I
good.
think that's like a hot take.
I think that was a good idea for them.
You guys watch She-Hulk?
I
not that good.
personally
That's
prefer.
my favorite MCU character. Is She-Hulk.
I personally prefer Edward Norton's Hulk movies. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I thought Edward Norton did an incredible job as Hulk. I think Mark Ruffalo was a good Bruce Banner. I wasn't a huge fan of him as Hulk, personally, like the actual character Hulk. But I'm going to go with, I mean, it's always been my favorite one. I mean, I grew up on comic books that my dad had and passed down. Like, I'm a big Thor guy. Always been a big Thor guy. Like Chris Hemsworth as an actor. And if we're being honest, after he got Stormbreaker, the axe, the only thing that could stop him was himself. Like, he literally, like, he was unstoppable. He could travel anywhere in the known universe in a matter of seconds, and he basically just had to get fat in order to nerf him. So the
One of the sadder
writers,
stories too.
what's that?
One of the sadder
Yeah,
stories.
absolutely. But like the writers nerfed him, and then he got in his own way by.
You can ask
Yeah,
Cooper
those are
when
really
Chick-fil-A rented out the movie theater and we watched the most recent Thor movie. I cried.
Did you?
Do you remember that, Coop?
I wasn't there.
No.
So don't ask me.
Don't ask me. Yeah, no, cool. Sounds interesting. So Iron Man, Scarlett Johansson, because let's be honest, it's not Black Widow, it's Scarlett Johansson that you like.
It's Black Widow.
Black Widow, okay, fair enough. All right, and then Hulk and Thor. I had to think about that for a second. I was trying to think because I was originally going to say in May, but like, no, he changed it.
And I just like I like the comedic characters. Like
Mhm.
Ant-Man's just like a stupid, funny.
I
Yeah.
thought you said Aunt
But
May
he's
at
not-
first. I didn't think you said Aunt May at first. I thought you said
no,
Ant-Man.
Ant-Man is not my favorite, but like I just
Cool,
like the
yeah.
That would have been a
comedic.
good one.
Yeah. Also, shout out Deadpool. I'm a big Deadpool fan personally. New movie
I've
comes
never
out.
seen him.
Is he
I
MCU
saw
yet
the
though?
first one.
He's not MCU technically.
I think he is, right?
Not yet.
This movie makes him MCU from what I understand, but that's been rumored for a while. So,
Like even
John
he's-
Krasinski's Fantastic Four, Mr. Fantastic is my favorite MCU character. His 2-minute cameo where he's stupid. It's just-
and then gets killed in a matter of
I like
seconds.
Ned.
That's cool.
Spider-Man's
Yes.
Oh
friend.
gosh.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty good.
Yeah. Ned's cool.
He's supposed to be like New Goblin eventually, I guess, if
Or
they're
like
gonna
some
take
type
off
of
the-
Yeah.
evil person.
Well,
Zendaya's
that's-
okay. Nothing special, but she's alright.
I
That's
wish
the-
they went with the first girl. I thought she was gonna from Homecoming.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. The girl who was.
What's his name's daughter?
Yeah.
Eli's just upset
Or
that it's not
Falcons.
Mary,
Or
the
the
traditional Mary Jane, because he loves the redheads. That's really.
Emma Stone.
Well, she was.
Well, she was
She was
Gwen,
number
she
two.
Was
I-
Gwen,
I
she was
don't
Gwen
know.
Stacy, not MJ.
Duh.
It's Kirsten.
Yeah, I don't know
Kirsten
that
Dunst.
much.
Yeah.
I didn't think she was as attractive as other people.
Yeah.
But
She has
It was
no
more just a like
emotional
a
range.
thrower
on her face.
thing for you, like in Gingers.
that's fair.
All right. Back on track.
Yeah.
We're gonna dive into 70 through 79. There's some of these that have a lot of names. I think that there's other ones that kind of have names that stand alone on their own as like, okay, that's the winner, but we're gonna name other people to give them their flowers. So starting off at 70, we're gonna start with, and remember, this is, before we dive into this is most iconic. So again, we're not just doing it based off career. It's most iconic since 2000. Okay, so starting off 70, Eric Wood, old center for Buffalo Bills. Jake Matthews was the left tackle for the Falcons. Kevin Zeitler. Who was his first team?
Bengals.
And then he went to the Browns.
Then the Giants, and then the Ravens.
Yeah.
Now the Lions.
The Lions. Trey Turner. Keep in mind, before he was having that failed experiment where he spit on a Raiders player when he played for the Steelers, he was a 3-time Pro Bowler. 5-time Pro Bowler with the Panthers. So, like,
he used to
obviously he's a little infamous now, but he was very good. Juwan James, T.J. Lang, Logan Mankins, Donald Penn, Marcus Spears, and Kelechi Osemele. And then I left this name off till last, even though he's first on my list. Zach Martin's on there. I think that's a pretty clear number one. Has an argument for being one of the best guards of all time on a team that has probably the other best guard of all time, whose name will appear later in this list. I mean, are there any arguments against Zach Martin?
The only thing I'll say is probably when I was like 8, 9 years old, one of the few offensive linemen I could name when I was young was Donald Penn. Like, for some reason, like, he just always stuck in my brain when I was younger, and maybe it was like a Madden thing. I don't really know, but I think Zach Martin's tough to beat out here.
I mean, Donald Penn had a super underrated career, especially I think nowadays. Like, he was well known when he played, but like I feel like most people don't even think about him anymore nowadays.
I agree. Zach Martin's going to run away with this, but shout out to Jake Matthews for maybe being a part of one of, if not the biggest NFL family of all time, with Clay Matthews Jr., Bruce Matthews, Clay Matthews Sr., just a lot of great players.
Yeah. Spoiler alert for later on. Bruce Matthews.
No.
All right. Moving on to 71. So 70, Zach Martin. Okay. Moving on to 71. There's a lot of names on this list. So I think that we could honestly all four come up with different people as our number one answer for this one. But like, let's get through it first. So starting off strong, Walter Jones. One of the greatest tackles really of all time. Played for the Seahawks. Played until 2007, I think. So was definitely eligible for this. Active player Trent Williams, who again is probably regarded right now as one of the best players in the league. Willie Anderson, tackle for the Chiefs, I think is what he's most well known for.
Yeah. For some reason I was thinking Bengals, but I'll...
Yeah. Jason Peters, probably Hall of Famer. Ryan Ramczyk, we were just talking about him before the podcast early on, is like probably one of the more underrated tackles in the league since he came into the league. Really solid. Lyle Collins had a really great time with the Cowboys.
Do you remember Lyle Collins' start?
His start?
So during the draft process, viewed as a first-round left tackle, ends up going undrafted due to allegations that were proven false. He does.
Sean Oakman.
Yeah, and Cowboys signed him as an undrafted free agent. The Steelers were actually one of the other teams interested, but then becomes, I don't know if he ever made a Pro Bowl, but a Pro Bowl caliber player throughout his career.
On one of the best lines in my recent memory.
Of all time,
yeah.
I think is.
Yeah.
And then a quick update on Willie Anderson. First round pick, top 10 pick out of Auburn in 1996 to the Bengals. Spent 11 years there before finishing up in 2008 to the Ravens.
Who was I thinking of for the Chiefs? There's somebody later in this list. I will get there. Somebody later in this list who played for the Chiefs. It may have been senior Orlando Brown. That might have been what I was thinking of. I can't remember. Anyway, moving on from this list. Name that doesn't necessarily fit with the guys that started in the beginning, but Matt Filer is more of a recent guy who played some pretty good football at times. Mitchell Schwartz. Maybe that's who I was thinking of for the Kansas City Chiefs for this one. And then Josh Sutton. And then I want to throw this name out there because he played until 2002, but Tony Boselli, Hall of Famer, 3-time All-Pro if I remember correctly, 5-time Pro Bowler, Hall of Famer after only like an 8-year career. Like, the dude was a monster. So like, yes, he only played until 2002, but he only played for 8 years. So like, it was like 93 to 2002 or something like that. So I think he should probably be eligible for this. I don't know that he necessarily tops the other guys on the list, but...
Can you just run through the list one more time?
Walter Jones, Trent Williams, Willie Anderson, Jason Peters, Ryan Ramczyk, Lyle Collins, Matt Filer, Tony Boselli, Mitchell Schwartz, Josh Sutton. So 10 guys.
I'll go first just to get mine out of the way. I don't know I know probably 75% of those guys, but I'm just going to go with Trent Williams. just because of his size and
athleticism.
yeah.
I think that's a great answer.
He's not funny. He might be funny, but I don't know him. But
There's actually videos.
Sorry.
There's videos on the top 100. I think he did some interviews for the top 100 or something. He actually seemed
That sounds right.
He seemed like he was like, okay. I always thought this dude was just a mean, gruff kind of guy, but like he had some personality from what I saw. So.
It's just his personality. I don't think is what makes him iconic here. It's more just his brute size.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Did you mention Ryan Ramczyk?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know if I was thinking back to our earlier conversation that he might be retired.
Yeah, I referenced the conversation whenever I said him.
You mentioned Trent Williams might be the best player in the NFL at the moment. I think part of being iconic is being the best, not just at your position, but in football. And if Trent's there, then I'd give it to him over Walter. But I think it's tight between those two.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Jason Peters.
I was wondering if you were,
I'm kind of a Jason Peters fanboy. Now he's viewed just as kind of the oldest player in the NFL, which is still crazy impressive. He's more of a spot starter now. But before that, he was a double-digit Pro Bowler, an undrafted guy who was a tight end converted to tackle, becomes an instant Pro Bowler and All-Pro, part of that legendary 2004 draft class. More known for his time with the Eagles, but also spent time with Buffalo. That's where he started out. I'm a Jason Peters fan through and through, and I'm really hoping he comes back for another season.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, I mean, my original thought was I was going to go with Walter Jones, but I'm not going to do that now because I want to go with one of the two that was selected. And I didn't want to make it a tie, but I do. Here's the thing. I like both the guys. I like all three of the guys that I named. I like Walter Jones. I like Trent Williams. I like Jason Peters. Those are my top three on this list. And, I mean, if I'm not going to go Walter Jones, I'm going to go between Trent Williams and Jason Peters. I just think right now, like, Jason Peters, with the more years he has under his belt, he didn't have some of the off-the-field business issues that Trent Williams did with his team. Like, Jason Peters seems to have always been, like, a team player, just, like, always there, just doing what he needs to do kind of guy. I'm going to go with Jason Peters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go random number generator for the tiebreaker. Even is going to be Trent Williams. Odd is going to be Jason Peters. So 1 to 100, 48. So even is Trent Williams. So Trent Williams wins that one. But which I'm not mad about. So, dude, my computer is so glitching on me right now.
It's alright. Classic Control Z.
That's what I'm saying. Gotta say, saves us, you know. All right. So moving on then from 71. So just to recap real quick, Zach Martin won 70, Trent Williams wins 71. So moving on to the next one here, 72, obviously. We're going to start with Travis Frederick. Center on one of the greatest lines of all time with the Cowboys when they had Tyron Smith, Lyle Collins, Zach Martin, but also somewhat known for how he had to retire Hodgkin's lymphoma, right? Some kind of cancer, something with his heart, some kind of serious medical issue that he had forced him to retire, what a lot of people considered a little early. Osi Umenyiora, defensive lineman for those, I think both of the Giants Super Bowls. I think he was there for both of them, if I remember
Definitely
correctly.
the first one.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if he was there.
Would you check that for me, Hayden?
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, potential two-time Super Bowl champ, at least one-time Super Bowl champ, opposite some guys like, I mean, I think Strahan was still there. You got Justin Tuck. You got JPP. Like, I mean, probably the most underrated of those four.
Was there for both.
Yeah, probably the most underrated of those four guys.
Giants Ring of Honor.
Yeah. Terron Armstead, who is currently active, was just an absolute monster. Mostly with the Saints, has dealt with some injuries now with the Dolphins. Charles Leno Jr., Bears, a little bit underrated. Taylor Moton, Laurent Duvernay-Tardif is his name. I don't know if you guys remember him. He was a guard for the Chiefs. He played pretty well. He was part of at least one Super Bowl, if I remember correctly.
The
first one. He is probably more well known for whenever COVID happened, he stopped playing football and went to be a doctor because he's like like legitimate, like he graduated, he went through all this stuff. He's an actual doctor, so he left football to go and be a doctor to help with the COVID pandemic.
Can you say his name one more time?
Laurent Duvernay-Tardif.
Okay.
Sounds
I
like
think
he's a
that's actually
character
pretty
from
good.
Black Widow.
Yeah, gosh. Well, he's French. Black Widow was
Russian.
Russian, yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Another guy on this list whose career wasn't necessarily the best, but at the same time, like, well, he was a number 1 overall pick. Eric Fisher, number 1 overall pick in, what year was that? In
2013.
13. Yeah. So.
Him and Luke Jokel.
Yeah. Gosh. Yeah.
One of the weaker first rounds of all time.
Yeah. Donald Penn makes another appearance on this list. And then Michael Bennett also makes. I don't think he wore 72 for his whole career.
72 is with the Seahawks. I was
This guy.
curious.
Yes.
I
Really,
remember
No
solid
shoulder
careers.
pads. No
Yeah.
shoulder pads.
Yeah. He probably wore those quarterback shoulder pads so that they were just not there. And then one guy that I did leave off, I did notice he wasn't on really any of the lists that I saw. Matt Light was a tackle, I believe, for the New England Patriots. He's a 3-time Super Bowl champion.
Mm-hmm.
Super underrated. I don't think most people would even know his name.
He was at the Tom Brady roast.
Yeah, like I mean, he is a very, I think, underrated aspect. But like the 3-time Super Bowl champion, he needs to at least be named, even if he's not like iconic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't really go number 72 without mentioning that. Like,
Have you heard the Julian Edelman story with that?
mm-hmm.
So Belichick would basically quiz younger Pats players on Patriots history. And he asked Edelman during Edelman's rookie year, I think was 2009, like, what do you know about Matt Light? And Edelman was like, who the F is that, basically? and Belichick just cussed him out and basically just started naming out all of his accolades and said, do your history if you're... I can't even do the Belichick, Edelman. Yeah. But just one of the better stories that Belichick's just a true historian of the game.
So, I mean, looking at this list of the ones that we have right now, I mean, to me, Travis Frederick and Osi Umenyiora kind of stand a little bit above. Does anybody disagree with that?
I'll put mine out there. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna go with Michael Bennett.
That's actually where I'm going to
Okay,
go as
yeah.
well.
Big personality.
72, it's where what he wore with the Seahawks, where he was a super important part of that Legion of Boom defense, which is funny. We talked about how many of the 2013 Seahawks we have or have been honorable mentions. I don't think any of us thought Michael Bennett, but he has 2 votes right now, so at the very least he's getting a tiebreaker.
Yeah, so you are both officially.
Yes.
Okay, great.
I don't know. I really don't have a strong opinion on this one, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a weird number, to be
Like,
fair.
same thing, I like Donald Penn, but I feel like if I picture him, it's more 71 than 72, which maybe I'm wrong with, but just in my head. I don't know. I'll go with OC because I like the Giants during those Super Bowls, but
Shout out to
I have
Travis
absolutely no
Frederick
problem with
also.
Michael Bennett.
That's my answer.
Hall
Travis
of
Frederick.
Famer if he ends up continuing to play.
I mean, you saying OC makes me want to go for that because of what I said earlier between those two and like make it a tiebreaker. But like, I'm fine with the answer being Michael Bennett, but like, I'm gonna go Travis Frederick here. I just think that his off the field like story and like having to overcome that and like, I mean, I just think that that's part of what being iconic is about, is overcoming that. So I mean, we gave James Conner for 30, right? No, we went with Todd Gurley. But either way, like, I mean, that's we at least talked about that for James Conner, and I think he was in the finals of what we talked about.
Yeah, and I
because
think one of the
his off
drawbacks to
field.
Connor was his number changed to 6 for the Cardinals.
Yeah,
If he had still been wearing 30, I think James Conner would have had a better case.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I
So
looked up Duvernay Tardif, and it said that he asked for MD to be on the back of his jersey after he got his doctorate, but was denied by the NFL.
No
That would've
fun
been cool.
league.
I mean, they couldn't fit it. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
He had Duvernay Tardif on the back of his jersey. How are they gonna put MD at the end of that?
They have to go to a second line. They
Yeah.
have to they have to space.
Yeah. All right. So again, recap quickly: Zach Martin, Trent Williams, Michael Bennett. All right. Moving on to 73. Some big names on this one as well. So starting off very strong. Rest in peace, the late great Larry Allen, widely regarded as the greatest guard of all time, NFL's strongest man. I believe the last time that they did that at the Pro Bowl was him. He had 45 reps at 225, something insane like that. He has that super hustle play that everybody knows where he runs down the interception
Swats
and like
the ball out.
yeah.
That
Marshall,
was him.
yeah, I believe so. I mean,
I thought it was a wide receiver.
No, it was a lineman. The one that I'm thinking of he was a lineman. But
All right, I'll take
we'll
your. That's
yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
But
I mean, we might be thinking of different plays. But like, there's a play
no,
where
I don't
Allen,
think it happened twice because it was against the Bills, like when they were 1-4. So
yeah, I don't remember who it was against, but yeah. So Larry Allen's on there. Marshall Yanda, another really great guard. Ravens for his whole career, I believe, if
Yes.
I remember correctly.
Yep.
Wasn't a super long career, but really, really productive in the time that he was there. I mean, we're talking about the greatest of all time. One of them up there is Joe Thomas. I mean, we got a Browns fan here. I think I might know where his answer lies on this, but it's not the wrong answer. I mean, Joe Thomas, I mean, even what he's done after his career with like losing the weight and now being in the box, making all kinds of awesome predictions. I really like Joe Thomas personally as an announcer as well. So some current guys, we got Deion Dawkins, we got Isaac Seumalo, we got Ramon Foster, a Steelers legend, Jari Evans, and J.C. Treader. So we got another, I think J.C. Treader played for the Browns for a little bit as well.
Former NFLPA president.
Yeah. So again, I mean, I'm going to keep doing this for all of them. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong here. I think Larry Allen, Marshall Yanda, Joe Thomas are top of this list.
Yeah, and I think this was maybe the most competitive number that we've had yet. Obviously, 12 between Rodgers and Brady has an argument, but Larry Allen, Yanda, and Joe Thomas, 3 Hall of Famers, Jari Evans, kind of that next level down, and then 3 just really good active or close to active guys.
I mean, Joe Thomas, obviously, in my opinion, I'm a Browns fan, so going to be biased, but in a decade and a half that was so poor for a team, for a player to be that good, that highly regarded by other players, fans, and everybody. I mean, again, it was a sad decade and a half, and he still shines so much throughout that.
Yeah.
Joe Thomas for me as well. What are the Browns without Joe Thomas? I think their most iconic player in franchise history by far.
Jim Brown? Over Jim
All
Brown?
right.
I mean,
I take it back.
Yeah.
But yes, obviously.
He is very iconic, but he's not the most iconic for them.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would
he's
say
top
Jim.
two. He's
I
top two.
would say Jim Brown's the only person that clears him.
Yeah.
Marshall Yanda, as there's been so many good Ravens in their short history.
Sure.
And then Larry Allen, he's probably the 4th most famous person on that Cowboys offense alone from the 90s.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
I'm going Joe Thomas.
Joe Thomas. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I think Larry Allen and Joe Thomas are on a slight tier higher than Marshall Yanda in this. I mean, Joe Thomas has already won because he's got 3 votes, but like, I just for the sake of Larry Allen, like I've said this in the past on some of these, is like, you get more iconic when, like, they say this for artists all the time, for poets, whatever, like, you get more iconic after you've passed away, and it's unfortunate, but it's a reality of the situation. I think that Larry Allen was great when he's alive, and his legacy is only going to continue to grow and talk about his greatness when, like, this season they're making videos, like memorial videos about him, and like reminding these people of how good he was and like the kind of person that he was and things like that. But at the same time, I mean, it's Joe Thomas. Like, again, as much as I love the Larry Allen pick there, it's like Joe Thomas, and what he had to go through in his career and stick with the same team the entire time. And like, at one point over a 2-year stretch, he went 1-31. He went 1-31 over a 2-year stretch. He was part of the 1-15 team. He was part of the 0-16 team, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
And so, like, the fact that he stuck there, and he never really had a bad season on teams that were awful, like terrible, like historically worst teams maybe ever. He was that good.
Yeah.
And like that, I mean, it was basically him and Joe Hayden were like the bright spots on either side of the ball every week. So,
And
Joshua Cribbs.
Josh Cribbs, Josh Gordon. But again, I mean,
for a
listen,
year,
2013.
Yeah. Kind of, and this
Terrell
isn't
Pryor.
for that
For a
1
game
year
or two.
For a game or two.
This isn't necessarily an argument for Joe Thomas because Larry Allen honestly might have the same claim. Joe Thomas might be the best offensive lineman of all time. Not just
He's
tackle.
top 3 tackle. Yeah.
I think he has a chance to be he is an argument. I know we're going to talk about Bruce Matthews, who played all 5. I think playing all 5 positions and having the record for most Pro Bowls automatically makes you the best lineman. But Joe Thomas, I think, if if he was on some better teams, I think that we talk about him a lot differently.
Sure.
I think, all right, let's compare him and Trent Williams, a guy that we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
I do think Trent Williams probably a top 5 player in the NFL, definitely the best lineman in the NFL at the moment. I'm taking Joe Thomas 10 out of 10 times over Trent Williams. So,
yeah.
Joe Thomas has the record for most consecutive snaps played with 10,363. I'm trying to find like the next even closer, even the most active or the active player.
and that went up until his last season because I think his last season he missed the second half of the year and he just decided not to come back.
You mentioned one of the greatest of all time. Like, he's not on any of this list because he's a little bit too aged out for it, but Anthony Munoz, I think, is up there too. Like we had mentioned.
The Bengals.
Yeah, like not even... I mean, a lot of people consider him to be like the best tackle of all time. I think Joe Thomas is in that conversation.
Is there any crossover between Willie Anderson, the guy that we mentioned for 70, and Anthony Munoz? So 96 was when the guy we mentioned earlier, because I'm just wondering, that all of a sudden becomes, that Bengals offensive lineman would have been insane in the 90s. And to make that even more interesting, Kajana Carter, the former number 1 overall pick out of Penn State, one of the bigger draft busts of all time, he was viewed as a guy. He never could get going due to injury, so that's just kind of even more glaring of a bust if they had that good of a line. And
so Anthony Munoz played for the Bengals from 80 to 92, and then it was practice squad or off-season member only with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for 1 year.
Okay, that makes more sense because Kajana Carter, and when we did our interview with Brian Milne said that if it weren't for injuries, Kajana would have gone down as not only one of the best college backs of all time, but one of the best pro backs. But playing it behind 2 Hall of Fame tackles would have been a little.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. All right. So Joe Thomas clears. That's 4 votes for Joe Thomas there. That might be one of the first times we've ever had like all 4 of us choosing one person, because sometimes one of us will be different. But like, okay, we'll throw
There's
out
been
this
a
person
couple. Patrick Mahomes.
Probably.
Unless someone went stray and did Tebow or something.
All right, moving on to 74. Couple names of guys that are more recent. So we got DJ Humphries, active Colton Miller, tackle for the Raiders, who's been really solid so far in his career. Nick Mangold, former Jet. Michael Orr, not much to talk about from his career, but very iconic. Like, might actually win this one. Willie Colon, Steelers legend. Ali Marpet, Buccaneers guy. And then another guy, I need to at least throw out his name because he played in 2001, but I don't think he's eligible for it. Bruce Matthews had an 18-year career and played until 2001, played every single position on the line at a super elite level. Again, one of those best linemen of all time type guys.
He has the record for most Pro Bowls in NFL history. Didn't make his first Pro Bowl until after the age of 30.
Yeah. All right.
And then obviously the family ties, going back to what we said earlier.
Yeah. I'll go first for this one because I haven't gone officially get my answer until last on him. If we take out Bruce Matthews, I think Michael Orr clears. I mean, as far as iconic and the blind side and all this stuff, there are some guys on here, Nick Mangold, DJ Humphries had some shining spots in his career, but I think as far as iconic, I think it's Michael Orr from my perspective. So
yeah, I mean, it's hard to not. I'm gonna go against Michael Orr, but if we're going straight iconic, he has a movie that's based on his life. I mean, it's him. But Mangold was another guy growing up, similar to Penn, that was one of the few offensive linemen when I was younger that I could point out. So I'll go with Nick Mangold.
Is he the center for the
Yes.
Yeah, super solid.
Cool
Long
hair.
blonde hair. Yeah.
Michael Orr.
So I really, coming into this, I was planning on going Nick Mangold just because I thought Orr would clear. Mangold, I think, is one of those fringe Hall of Fame players. I know.
Very good.
No, I think he has a chance for the actual one. Does he actually get it? Yeah, but definitely a Hall of Very Good at least. Love Ali Marpet too. But Michael Orr, especially with the Blind Side movie coming into play recently again, him claiming that the Tuohys weren't necessarily doing it for the right reasons, which I think the timing is a little bit ironic. His NFL career's been over for a little bit less than a decade, and all of a sudden now he's being loud about it.
Yeah.
But iconic for good and bad reasons. Just one of the cooler stories, whether it's historically accurate or not.
Yeah. It never really panned out as a player, but at the same time, it's
for
like
a first round pick. Like he was a spot starter really after his time with the Ravens. He won the Super Bowl with them in 2012.
Where did he go after the Ravens?
The Titans and then the Panthers.
Okay, yeah, maybe I remember him with the Titans. I can't remember.
He was he was there for Taylor Lewan's rookie year, which we'll get to soon.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so quick recap. Zach Martin, Trent Williams, Michael Bennett, Joe Thomas, Michael Orr. All right, moving on to 75. So, a lot of names on this list again. So, Vince Wilfork, Jonathan Ogden. So, I mean, everybody knows Vince Wilfork is big belly, shows up to training camp in his overalls with no shirt on underneath. Won 2 Super Bowls with the Patriots. If I remember correctly, 2 Super Bowls for Vince Wilfork with the Patriots.
Yeah, he wasn't there for the third one.
I would have guessed more if you just said, "Hey, quickly, how many?"
Actually, he might have. He was interesting. He might have been 3, but what's interesting about him, he was drafted in 2004. Once again, that awesome draft class. So, all right, so yeah, 2-time Super Bowl champ, which means he was only there for one of the Super Bowls in the second half of the Patriots dynasty. Which I kind of picture him there for at least 2 of them, but he was only there for the Marshawn Lynch, Malcolm Butler interception play.
Because he also went to the Texans and who else did he go? I can't remember off the top of my head. Who else Vince Wilfork played for?
Just the Texans.
Just the Texans?
Yeah.
Because he was there for J.J. Watt, too.
Yes.
Whitney Merciless, D'Amico Ryans, Jonathan Joseph, all those guys. So, moving on to the next one, Jonathan Ogden, Ravens tackle.
Shout out Chris Ogden.
Yeah, shout out friend of the show, Chris Ogden. Joel Bitonio.
You think they're related?
No. Joel Bitonio, the longest tenured Cleveland Brown, if you didn't know that. He was, so outside of the playoff game, he is the only Brown that ever beat Ben Roethlisberger when Ben Roethlisberger played the whole game. And it was in his rookie season.
2014.
Interesting fun fact for you. Outside of the playoff game where he was playing, and obviously that counts, but
you know what's crazy?
Throwing back a little bit.
He was the Browns' 3rd draft pick that year.
Yeah.
You know who the first 2 were? 2 historic busts, Johnny Manziel and Justin Gilbert.
Justin Gilbert. He was a Steeler for a while, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was when the Steelers were doing like a rented cornerback, like with a trade during the preseason. They did it with Brandon Boykin. Ross Cockrell was one that actually worked out a little bit, but yeah.
Blake Zilla. Short little Antoine Blake, thank you. Yes. All right, moving on. Andrews Pete, guard for the Saints, right?
Tackle and guard,
yeah. Brian Bulaga, solid during the run with some of the runs with Aaron Rodgers. I don't think he's part of the Super Bowl squad, if I remember correctly.
I think that was his rookie year. Actually.
Was it his rookie?
Yeah.
Okay. Brandon Scherf, another guy. Like, I mean, you'll see some names on this. Like, there was a while where the Redskins had just some absolute linemen.
It's been like a month.
Listen, I did it on purpose. And they
we
were
know
the,
you did.
They were the Redskins at the time, okay? But, like, I mean, we mentioned Trent Williams already. He won one. Like, Brandon Scherf is, like, I mean, he's with the Jags now, but, like, he was another one of those guys. We'll mention Morgan Moses later on this list. Like, there's, like, they had some absolute dogs there at that time, and they weren't able to do really anything with it. That wasn't when RG3 was there, right? That was right after?
Sheriff's rookie season was 2016, which would have 12, 13, 14, 15.
So there was no overlap.
Yeah, so that was the first Cousins franchise tag. I believe.
Yeah.
Or there might have been 1 year. Sheriff might have been 2015. So 1 year overlap, but Griffin didn't play.
Yeah. But, I mean, whenever he really left the Commanders and went to the Jags, he was regarded as one of the highest, the most sought-after free agents as far as linemen, for sure. Marcellus Wiley. And so this one, again, a 2002 guy. He played up until 2002. Lomas Brown. I wasn't super familiar with him, but he has some serious accolades. Whenever I was looking up his name, I can pull some of them up so you guys can see it. But, like, I also have a page, shout out to stadiumtalk.com, and he was on that list of guys who made the cut for, like, they have, like, 4 guys who made their list for, like, the top to ever play, who had that number, and Lomas Brown was one of them. You've got Alex Boone, Jake Long, and Kyle Long. So, thoughts on 75?
I'll go first for this one again. I'm just gonna say Vince Wilfork,
Mm.
just because of his overalls, and I see that video pop up every year on my either TikTok or Instagram of him walking into the stadium looking like that, and it's iconic.
Sure. Yeah. I do have an update. Lomas Brown, 7-time Pro Bowler, 1-time All-Pro, and 1-time Super Bowl champion. He won a Super Bowl with the New York Giants.
Yeah, Jonathan Ogden,
Might be the Buccaneers.
Jonathan Ogden, the only current Hall of Famer on that list.
Mm.
I do think Vince Wilfork and Joel Bitonio belong there, but I agree with Coop for both his funny Hard Knocks moments and his play on the field. I think Vince Wilfork deserves 75.
I think the Longs kind of throw a wrench in it if there is going to be one. Same with a little bit of Bitonio, but Wilfork usually, and even Wiley. He's a fun guy on TV.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with the Longs is, like, yeah, they had...
And then, side note, Jake Long's not related to.
Oh.
So
I thought they were both...
Kyle Long, the Pro Bowl guard for the Bears, and Chris Long, the podcaster and edge rusher, are brothers, son of Hall of Famer and analyst Howie Long for the Raiders. So there is a family of Longs. Jake Long, though, the former #1 overall pick, is not a part of it.
Interesting. Yeah. I didn't make that connection, but now that you mentioned that, I do know that. But
they all do look alike, so.
Yeah, it's like the Longs had decent careers, the family of them, but I think that the sons kind of had some fame from how great of a career their dad had. So, like, they were good, and, like,
even just him staying on TV and then, like, always talking, like, they would always get brought up.
Yeah, for sure. And podcaster brother, I'm blanking on which one he is right now, but Chris, I mean, he has at least one Super Bowl with the Eagles. Did he win a second one?
So the Patriots first. Him and LeGarrette Blount went ring chasing at the end of their career.
Yeah.
And now the Greenlight Pod is one of the better sports podcasts.
Yeah, for sure. So you all won Vince Wilfork.
Yeah.
Right? Shout out Hunter. I'll go Jonathan Ogden just because Hall of Famer, and also, I mean, Hunter, friend of the show, Ravens fan. I'll shout out him and go with Jonathan Ogden. But Vince Wilfork wins that with 3-1.
Shout out Chris too.
Yeah, shout out friend of the show, Chris Ogden. All right, so that's 75. Moving on to 76. A lot of names on this one. This one actually has the most names of all the names that we put on there. So I'm going to breeze down through this list real quick because there's so many of them. I'm not going to go super into detail unless we need to on any of them. Orlando Pace, Dwayne Brown, DJ Fluker, John Feliciano, Roger Saffold, Morgan Moses, Nate Soldier, otherwise known as Nate Solder.
That one might need a win just
I
because
think it needs to.
Russell Okung, Greg Hardy, for talking infamy, Tyler Columbus, Sebastian Vollmer, Flozell Adams, Brendan Albert, Will Clapp, Mike Daniels, Chris Snee. And then the name that I wanted to leave for last, Steve Hutchinson, was a Hall of Famer, 7 Pro Bowls, 5 All-Pros. So, big name there. But I mean, there's some big names on there. I would say some of these guys fall into the Hall of Very Good, like Russell Okung, and I mean,
Sebastian Vollmer taught Tom Brady German. So
there you go. Yeah.
I
So
mean,
where are you guys at?
The humor in me wants to go Will Clapp for obvious reasons.
Why is that? What are the reasons?
Obvious. And then Nate Solder for Cooper, obviously, does make sense as well, but I'm going to go Steve Hutch.
I'm going to go Nate Soldier.
Okay.
Just because I
Solder.
Yeah, it's Solder.
Soldier.
Okay.
I low-key want to go Greg Hardy.
Do it.
Honestly,
I don't think that's a bad
that,
answer.
His just going to UFC too. Like I really think that he is possibly the most iconic. 76, definitely not the best, but I'll have some fun and go.
But I mean, even at his peak,
he was still good. He was a very good lineman.
Yeah.
Defensive line.
Yeah, for sure.
And he just always looked, even before stuff happened, he just always looked mean.
That face paint.
Yeah.
I mean, Greg Hardy, I think is not a bad choice at all there. I think that he's I mean, he was a sack machine. He disrupted games. Went to the UFC. I don't know if you guys know that afterwards, which kind of put his greatest attribute to use. His ability to assault others.
That's Josie's word for the greatest attribute. He's not speaking for the podcast.
Yeah. Won his first UFC bout, if I remember correctly, but did not by any means have a bad tenure with the Cowboys. The Panthers' tenure was kind of like but like when he was with was it the Cowboys, right?
Flip flop. So the Panthers was really good.
Okay.
The Cowboys, he was suspended for the first like 8 to 10 games.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, you even look at the off-field stuff. Like, yes, we're talking about iconic, but that can also include famous and infamous.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he fits the infamous villain role as well as a lot of people. I mean, maybe not to the level of like Ndamukong Suh, which I'm sure we'll talk about at some point in this list when we're on there. But like,
I mean, Suh had more stuff on the field, but Suh never did anything off the field.
I just mean villain.
And people's careers on the field.
Yeah, like he was a villain.
And he ran over Joe Pa in college. But
yeah, so was Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy was a villain. So, but yeah, I mean, for me,
Joe Pa's leg.
Well, that's what happens when you're a 90-year-old. And you should have aimed for Sandusky. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. So who did you go with, Cooper?
Nate Soldier.
Nate Soldier, that is who you go with. Yeah, for me it's between Orlando Pace and Steve Hutchinson, and I don't want to make a four-way tie. I'm going to go Steve Hutchinson to make it an easy one here. I mean, again, I don't think that either one of them is the wrong answer, but like, I think that they're both all-time greats, and I think Steve Hutchinson's. I don't think Orlando Pace ever won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, he did.
He did.
He was a part of the Greatest Show on Turf.
Oh yeah, okay. He did win one with
Kurt in the game.
And Marshall Falk. Yeah. So okay. Well, moving on. 77. A few less names on here, but some really, really solid ones. So just again breezing through Willie Roaf, Tyron Smith, Andrew Whitworth. I mean, those three names, we could stop and have a conversation about those. But moving on, Trent Brown, Taylor Lewan, post-career and during career, Marcus Gilbert, Steelers legend, Marvell Smith, Steelers legend, Cordy Glenn, Jake Long, Frank Ragnow, and Wyatt Teller. Another Brown for us. Browns linemen, I mean, we haven't had a ton of Browns on our list so far, but Browns linemen are
solid.
Yeah, very iconic.
Maybe they get overplayed because of how bad the Browns are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So looking at this,
yeah. So like looking at this, like I think that again, disagree. Willie Roaf, Tyron Smith, Andrew Whitworth in a top tier, Taylor Lewan in a tier right below them. That's still part of the conversation.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah. So I think we can narrow it down to those four between Willie Roaf, Tyron Smith, Andrew Whitworth, and Taylor Lewan.
I want to go Lewan really bad, but I think Whitworth is just like especially recently. This might be recency bias, but when they were in the Super Bowl, it was literally like the Whitworth show leading up to it. It was just constantly talking about Andrew Whitworth.
I agree, and plus that video when he won the Super Bowl, it was like
telling the kids to retire.
Like it's just like yeah. I'm going Whitworth too.
Yeah, I think Andrew Whitworth was an all-time good guy. Like it's not even just his absolute dominance on the field. Anybody who's in the AFC North knows that even on bad teams, the left tackles on the Browns, so Joe Thomas, and the left tackle for the Cincinnati Bengals, Andrew Whitworth, were constants, always. It's like whoever you had rushing on that side, like good luck. Like you got the two guys that are just absolute monsters. And like I'm not going to put Andrew Whitworth in the same category as Joe Thomas as far as play, but there is a comparison between the two. And I think that Andrew Whitworth, to me as well, like we haven't seen what Tyron Smith has done after his career because he's still playing currently. But like Andrew Whitworth's post-career has been a super success as well, in my opinion. He's on the Thursday Night Football crew, right? Pre-game stuff.
He always wears that like vest with the
the suit jacket
with the sweatshirt.
Yeah. I mean, super well spoken. Seems like I've obviously never talked to him in person, but seems like a super easygoing guy, easy to talk to, very knowledgeable. I'm a big Andrew Whitworth fan. I always have been, so my answer is also Andrew Whitworth. So.
Obviously, Whitworth wins. I will give Tyron Smith a shout out. I think he, in terms of just football ability, probably the best lineman on that. It was really him and Joe Thomas over the 2010s on who was the better tackle. All of us are familiar with the story, I think, about when he hurt his elbow and he had to use a leg brace for his arm brace. Yeah.
Shout out to Cordy Glenn. I think that's the nerdiest name I've ever heard. It sounds like
he looks like a nerd too. He had like those goggles.
Okay, well, all right. I
Rex
looked him up
specs.
because when I heard Cordy Glenn and then I didn't see a picture of him, I was like, it must just be his name. I'm thinking he had
Bills for a while and then the Bengals.
He had Rex specs. I
That's
think
what
that's
I
what they're
thought,
called.
yeah.
He kind of looks like Hot Rod. He's
Why is he not wearing them?
I know. I looked it up and I was like, oh, I must have just
Maybe
thought
type in
Cordy
glass.
Glenn. Like,
Maybe type in glasses.
dude, I don't
Dude,
know.
his
Are we
Madden-
just? We might just be thinking
What
Cordy
is that
Glenn
called? Is that the
nerdy.
Mandela effect? What's
That's
that
what I
called?
was
Might
literally
just, it
gonna
might
say.
just sound nerdy.
Type in glasses. Type in Cordy Glenn glasses.
What the
There's got to be one.
No,
right?
I feel like his Madden picture like had glasses.
Dude,
What?
no, because I thought the same exact thing. I was
Yeah,
like,
he has, like,
Cordy
hot-
Glenn. He's got the big goggles.
He has
Looked him up,
Rodrigo
no goggles.
Blankenship like glasses. What the
That's
heck?
how nerdy his name is.
Do his eyes
Nothing.
like no way.
If I look up
I'm
Cordy
about to-
Glenn, there's no pictures, and then I look up Cordy Glenn goggles, and it's just not even
Did we
pictures
just
of him.
stumble on something, guys?
I'm about to play Madden
Okay,
15
I
right
thought-
now. And
I thought
like,
I thought I was losing it. I looked him
yeah,
up
I
right
could
away.
have sworn like on one of those Xbox 360 Maddens that he had
Yeah.
like goggles.
No, just he's has a nerdy name.
What the heck? Shout out Cordy.
There's
Glenn.
definitely a Bills lineman that wore goggles, but it might
No,
have been a white
dude.
guy.
That's what I just typed in NFL offensive lineman goggles. Well, I'm sorry, we have to pause. We gotta figure this out. I'm gonna type in Rex specs and see if that comes up. Rex.
For like the 2 Bills fans that listen to the podcast and know who Cordy Glenn, all right, Cordy Glenn is.
It's like
Shout out.
Auburn, Billsworth. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Nothing though.
Dude,
Just he has a
what the
nerdy
heck?
name.
I'm about to pull up every Madden from like Madden 25 through
Where-
Madden 20 and like try and find this.
Brandon
All right,
Bowles,
I'll keep
my
searching.
brain is absolutely tripping right now. So we're moving on. So Andrew Whitworth wins that one, 3.5 to 1
Yeah.
half. So
78.
yeah, sorry, my computer's geeking out on me for some reason. It's running super slow. And it's like glitching on me. All right, 78. So, some current active players: Laramie Tunsil, Tristan Wirfs. We got Max Stark, Steelers legend. We got Tariq Glenn. You got Matt Burke. You got Orlando Brown Jr. and Sr. Both were 78. Jack Conklin, Eric McCoy, Alejandro Villanueva, and my personal answer for this one: highest sack total of all time, 200 sacks, and the only person to have 200 sacks, Bruce Smith. Played until 2004.
That was my next question.
Yeah,
How
I think
many?
I'll look it up to verify, but I believe Bruce Smith played until 2004.
I mean, Alejandro Villanueva for his playing accolades doesn't stand out, but you either love him or you hate him because of the national anthem thing.
2003 for Bruce Smith,
Um,
200 sacks.
So Villanueva stands out. What were the first names again?
Yeah, so we had Laramie Tunsil, Tristan Wirfs.
And that was so Tristan Wirfs, shout out with the former Iowa wrestling.
the pool jump.
Yeah. I really do think that it comes down to Laramie Tunsil. I mean, one of the funnier draft stories of all time was at one point the number 1 overall pick unanimously ends up getting the bong mask, and Jared Goff and Carson Wentz get traded up for. All of a sudden he falls to pick 16. And I've seen McAfee, shout out with the jersey, talking about it before, basically saying that should have been a clear indicator that teams should draft him because that was an athletic feat. I think it's Laramie Tunsil or Alejandro Villanueva.
Yeah. I do want to throw out, I mentioned his name. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with him. I mentioned the name Matt Burke. Just want to throw out there, Minnesota Vikings selected him in the 6th round of the 1998 draft. He was a center. He was a 6-time Pro Bowler, a 1-time Super Bowl champ, and a 2011 Walter Payton Man of the Year, which we know how much I love Walter Payton Man of the Year.
And he's a Harvard man.
Yeah, but he won a Super Bowl with the Baltimore Ravens in 2012. He was the center. So I don't know if he was the starting center. I can't remember off the top of my head. That sounds familiar.
Yeah,
Like
I
I,
was
think
gonna
he
say the
was the
names.
starting center there. But being a 6th round pick and then going to 6 Pro Bowls, a Super Bowl champion, and Walter Payton Man of the Year is kind of just like, I mean, we can't. I agree with you that the two that you mentioned are up there, but like we got to at least mention his accolades because that's, I mean, super underrated. I don't think a lot of people really talk about Matt Burke
Yeah.
as a great offensive lineman.
I mean, Laramie's draft day is just absolutely ridiculous and something that you can't even make up. So I'm gonna go Laramie.
It's like
I'm
something
going-
that you
You'll
would see in the
remember
draft
forever.
day movie.
Yeah, it's something you'll remember forever.
I'm going Alejandro Villanueva just for the national anthem.
Did you give an answer? Yeah.
I'll
Or
go
you waiting for me?
I'll go whichever one's opposite of you. So we
Yeah.
do a
So you
tiebreaker.
went with Alejandro. You went with
Laramie.
Laramie Tunsil. I'm actually between Bruce Smith and Orlando Brown Sr. personally.
We're
I'm
gonna
gonna,
have a four-way.
I'm gonna go Bruce Smith because of the 200 sacks. That's my answer.
All right, so I have to be the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Darn.
You got a 3-way tie here.
I'll go Tunsil.
Tunsil. Okay.
I don't know. You know, I like to overcorrect the problem and try and be as unbiased of a Steelers fan as possible. So, which does tend to me being a little hypercritical of the Steelers at times. But
I mean, Laramie
Bruce Smith, I
Tunsil's-
mean,
yeah.
definitely it just feels a little against the spirit of the.
yeah,
He feels a little too old
Yeah.
at this point. Like his career was a long time ago. I get that. Why am I glitching out, yo?
it's all right. We just got one number left.
Yeah.
Which
right.
I was looking 79. I feel like is one of the better numbers in the 70s.
Mhm.
But I think that this might be our weakest number.
Yeah, there's some names that I was able to find, but yeah, I'll just go down through them. So Rob Havenstein, however you say that, I think he's active still.
Still kicking it.
Yeah, still kicking it. Ronnie Stanley was probably one of the better tackles in football until he's been dealing with some injuries recently. Brandon Brooks, really, really solid guard for the Eagles for years on one of the better offensive lines in my recent memory. Michael Schofield, a little bit of an older player there, but I think the name at least rings a bell for a lot of
He was
people
a
nowadays.
spot starter as a
Mhm.
guard and
Yeah.
tackle.
Michael Bennett, wore 79 for a little bit. Trey Essex was a 2-time Super Bowl champion with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then this name was kind of a little bit of a surprise to me, but Reuben Brown was a guard for the Bills, and he was a 9-time Pro Bowler in like 13-year career. Like, I mean, yeah. So where are you guys at on this? I mean, to me, 9-time Pro Bowler stands out over all the rest of this, other than maybe 2-time Super Bowl champ.
No, I think in terms of playing accolades, and I've never heard of him.
Yeah.
But at the same, it's hard for me to say somebody's the most iconic at a position when probably we went 4 of 4, 5 out of 5, or 6 out of 6, including Naples and Christian. We've never heard of him before.
Yeah, that's fair.
So,
Yeah.
which I don't want to speak, Cooper, I'll speak for you, but Eli, I don't know if you've never.
Sorry, who was it?
Reuben Brown.
Reuben Brown is a guard for the Bills.
I'm gonna go Reuben Brown just for the fact, just for the
screw
fact
you,
that
Aiden.
none of us have heard of him, and he's been to 9 Pro Bowls. Like that's kind of iconic. Like how he isn't.
Was his whole
Really
career
heard of.
with Buffalo?
I'm looking at him.
Because, like, that's, like, not Hall of Very Good. Like, Matt Burke is Hall of Very Good. 9 Pro Bowls, that's Hall of Fame.
He played.
There's a guy in the 60s and 80s named Coy Bacon that wore 79.
He played in 181 games, and he was from 95 to 2003. So it was actually only 8 seasons. Wait, hold on. There must have been 9 seasons. He made 9 Pro Bowls in 9 seasons, dude.
Yeah.
Every single year of his career,
Yeah,
he
but we
made a
don't
Pro
know
Bowl.
him. It's iconic and we don't know him.
I mean, I guess drafted by the Bills in the first round, 14th overall in 1995.
Read his Wikipedia. Why did he
That's what I'm
retire
going
after
to-
8 years?
Yeah,
He had, like,
I mean,
one of the worst injuries of all time. Like, this dude
Reuben Brown.
should be in the Hall of Fame. What
Wait,
the-
Hayden's about to vote for him.
Oh, here he played for the Chicago Bears from 04 to 07.
You're gonna vote for him.
You got a pet?
Yeah.
Here we go. So I said 9 Pro Bowlers. He was a 4-time second-team All-Pro. He's part of the All-Rookie team. Buffalo
Why do you
Bills 50th
retire?
anniversary.
Only one All Pro in the 2000s, or I guess 2 if you count 2000.
Why do you
After
retire?
spending 2008 out of football, officially announced his retirement in 2009. So he played beyond it was more than just that career. He played from 95 to 2008.
Okay.
For some reason, it was only showing me.
Was
his
that
time
just
with the
how long
Bills.
he was with the Bills?
He
Okay.
wore. I was looking at his number, so
Okay.
that it showed me
Alright.
his Bills tenure.
Well,
And that was-
we don't count it when he
Dude,
stops
if you
wearing
say, hey, what number did whatever his, I don't even remember the name already.
Reuben
Reuben Brown, you're
Reuben
not saying
Brown.
79.
You are saying 79. That's when he made 9 Pro Bowls. You absolutely are saying 79.
So if I just randomly went up to somebody on the street and was like,
If you went to a Bills fanatic, they would.
Well,
tell
yeah,
you
but
that
this
he-
Does
isn't the
Nick
Bills.
Steiner know who Reuben Brown is?
Let's
call
call him.
him right now, speakerphone.
He definitely doesn't.
Wait, we have to pick a word that we have to try to get him to say. To make it, we have to make him say lollipop, okay?
Okay.
What's your favorite Lil Wayne song?
Okay, you have to see if he
Nick's
knows
like
it.
historically not on his
And try to
phone,
get
so
him,
he's
try to get him to say lollipop. Bet you can't get him to say lollipop.
He's at work. He's closing tonight.
No.
Here's Bob.
Do you have any other Bills fans on speed dial?
Ryan,
And it's just what number did Ruben Brown play, and see if they're like who.
do you know who Ruben Brown is? That's what I'm starting with.
No. Just say what number did Ruben Brown.
Should I call the store? It has to talk to Nick.
Yeah,
I'm not
do
gonna
it.
that. No.
Okay.
All right. So anyway, going back to 79.
Dude, I can't vote for it. I don't know why we've never heard of him. He should be in the Hall of Fame. I don't like.
So you going Ronnie Stanley? I mean, Michael Bennett can't win too. He can't.
No,
be our
and
first
he wore
repeat.
79 for like half a season with the Cowboys. So
Yeah.
no.
Trey Essex, two-time Super Bowl champ.
That's the thing with his media career. Like, I feel like it honestly should be him. I'm gonna go Ronnie Stanley just because I feel like he's the most prestigious.
Yeah.
Might not be the most iconic, but like,
I have absolutely no opinion, so I'm going Donovan Smith.
Dude, who's Donovan? I didn't name him. Who's your?
He's a Penn State lineman.
did he wear?
Oh,
did he
no,
wear
he-
79?
Donovan Smith.
From 2023 to. Is this a different Donovan Smith?
Donovan Smith. He only wore that number for 1 year. No,
He
it's
wore
the
that
same
this
guy.
past year with the Chiefs, so he
But
wore it
yes,
for 1 year.
he
And
was
you're
on that
going.
three.
He was with the Bucks before he went.
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
the
he was
I was gonna say,
76
wh-
before.
His Bucks career was good.
He was
like,
70
really good.
He was 76 for a while.
So you're going off of one bad
No,
season.
I'm
with the
going.
Chiefs.
I don't even like Ronnie Stanley, sure, but like I don't even have it.
Yeah.
So
Tiebreaker.
taking
What's
myself.
Oh
I
Out.
went
my
with,
gosh.
Ruben.
Yeah, I'm just taking myself out of this. I'm not going Ruben Brown.
I mean,
All right, if you go Ruben Brown, I'll go Ronnie Stanley because
Listen.
I don't want it to be Ruben Brown.
I don't feel like I've been a homer about a lot of these picks, but I'm gonna go Trey Essex. So I guess that means Ronnie Stanley's gonna win it,
Thank
right?
God.
I want Ronnie Stanley. So
Now let's go three-way
stop.
Three-way
number
tiebreaker.
generator.
I'm gonna pass on the three-way.
I'm going. I want
Is
four-way. I'm
Sketch in
going,
it? We almost went the whole episode without bringing it up.
We had like a minute left of the episode.
Well, what makes it funny is I texted you yesterday and said, "Hey, what's up with Sketch?" And both of us were like, "We don't know."
I had seen like allegations.
I
on
saw
him or
like an
whatever.
OnlyFans thing, but I figured he just like, I don't know.
Yeah,
like-
and then I researched it. I got real into
we
the
found
research.
out that you researched.
I got real
it.
into the research, and
I have no idea. I mean, I only know what you guys recently told me. But anyway, the only one on here that doesn't have a definitive answer, 68, has Kevin Mawe and Will Shields. Who did we put on the TikTok?
So I
Did you
said
do
it was
both?
coming back to you guys. I was like,
Oh.
because one of them had more All Pros, the other one had more Pro Bowls. Like, they each have 1,000-yard rushers, so I was just delegating it.
Any thoughts on Kevin Mawe versus Will
He doesn't
Shields?
know who they
Zero.
I
are.
don't know who they are.
I mean,
Up to you. I'm truly fine with whatever. But I think that they're insanely equal, and since they're both linemen, neither one of them are like super distinct. Where like,
Yeah.
Wait,
I'll go Mawe. Oh, you go. Pull
Yeah,
it.
I'm
give
just
a
saying who
tiebreaker.
played in. Never mind. I was
Will
gonna say who played in
Shields.
in 2000s.
Mawe was
more,
the
but
Jets.
they were both about the
Mawe
same.
was the Jets and the Titans, I
Titans.
believe.
Okay.
All right, see how many fumble recoveries each had.
Yeah, that's the deciding factor.
Listen, I'm down for it if you guys.
9 for Shields, no touchdowns.
Well, considering he's an offensive lineman, Eli.
Yeah, I know, but if there was a touchdown, then we'd have to go with
All
him,
right.
right?
All right.
No touchdowns for either. 7 fumble recoveries for Mawe. Shields wins the fumble recovery.
Wait, what are the accolades? Roll up to the top for me. Are they in the Hall of Fame? Hall of Fame for Kevin Mawe. Is Shields in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
Yeah. 8-time Pro Bowl, 3-time All Pro for Mawe.
We can go-
I'm gonna go
We can
Mawe.
go to penalties.
I was gonna say,
39 penalties, that's it.
Sacks given up.
Wow.
What's the sacks given up?
well,
Right.
one of them's a guard and one of them's a center, I think. So that doesn't.
Great.
That's not. No, guard and tackle. I mean, so that's not fair.
Oh, that's not fair. I thought if you
Yeah.
were gonna say guard and center,
yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
for some reason, Mawe was a center in my mind.
Mawe might have been guard
played-
and center.
Yeah, he played both, I think, if I remember.
I don't know. I guess I know Mawe better,
Yeah.
so I'm fine with
I'm
Mawe.
going Mawe. So.
Yeah, because Mawe was inducted into the Hall of Fame more recently, I think. So that's why
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing his highlights and speech more recently.
Shields had 6 false starts in his career.
Only 6.
That's wild.
That is
He
wild.
played over a decade too.
That is insane.
Mawe had,
Eli's gonna vote for Shields.
Mawe had
just
6
so
too.
That's
There's
exactly.
no way that state is right.
That was
They
right.
probably don't have like the data on it from like the Because like, there's no way they had 0 false starts in their first 4 years, right?
I don't know. How many false starts does a lineman average per? I'm curious.
I mean, if you're,
Is that the Mandela effect part two?
I would think
Cordy
Yeah.
Glenn is nuts.
I would think that tackles would
No,
have
I'm
more
finding
false
Cordy
starts.
Glenn's goggles on
Yeah.
Madden.
I think we're thinking of it like some other dude.
All right.
His name is
So 79, Ronnie Stanley.
Yep. I think 80s. I mean, 80s going to be a quick one, I think. But there's names we'll throw out for it. So I mean, but there's a goat. who
We'll
wore
wait. We'll
There's
wait.
a goat who wore number 80 who's going to win it. Sorry, like
Plaxico Burress.
yeah, that's it. Didn't one of the Rams receivers wear 80?
Holt wore 81. Isaac
81.
Bruce might have. I'm not sure. I'm blank.
A big Steelers list in the 80s. A lot of Steelers.
Yeah, I mean a lot of receivers.
Swan
80s are gonna take
88,
for a long time.
Stallworth 82,
Yeah.
Ward 86, Brown 80, yeah,
84.
I mean, Antonio's tough to beat for iconic.
83.
Mm-hmm. 10% yeah.
All right. Good job.
Good. Yeah, good stuff.
I don't really have any announcements, so this has been the Second and Short podcast. We'll see you next week.